Welcome to the Buck Stops here, the official podcast of NotInHallOfFame.com, and I'm your host, Kirk Buckner, the Buck. And today we're going to look at the semi-finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Bit of surprises, but usually there's not a whole lot of surprise when it comes to the Pro Football Hall of Fame and how they do things. But it's always fun to dissect, especially when it's the 100th anniversary, and we're going to have a very, very large class. 20 people overall, it looks like, with the Blue Ribbon Committee. And who better to talk about this with than Vinny Lospinuso. Vinny's been here many times, and he shares his insight and his feedback as to what he thinks about the current semifinalists. Without further ado, here's Vinny. Vinny, how you doing?
I'm having a great day. Finals is almost coming, and also I need to hand in my resume sooner rather than later. And by the way, I do want to say thank you so much for giving me your letter of recommendation. I will most definitely use it to whatever suits my interest.
I hope you corrected all my spelling mistakes.
Don't worry, you didn't make any spelling mistakes. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was literally crisp, clean, perfect, and I can't wait to show it to others. The people that
And as I said to you before, just don't forget me when you become someone that we're going to see every Sunday morning right before the NFL games kick off.
Maybe. You never know.
Well, never know that you'll forget me? Jesus.
Well, a bit of both. Both, I will remember you, just like many other people in my life. I have a really good memory, of course. And also, of course, you're going to see me on there. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. Who knows what's going to happen, but hopefully only the best.
You never know. You could wind up in Barbados like I am with a bottle of rum punch celebrating the 53rd anniversary of this fine country.
Yay!
It's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty... just unlike the United States, but Barbados, Canada, we negotiated our break from the Commonwealth. We didn't have to fight for it. But this is not a history podcast, is it?
What?
This is not a history show.
No, you need to ask my dad for that stuff. He's the history guy.
Yeah, thanks. I'm probably older than your dad, which is really depressing.
Well, my dad's been a history teacher for 3 decades. But at the same time, in terms of current stuff, he focused on it, but it seems like it's kind of like melted him out a little bit. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just him getting older. I have no idea.
Well, you either get older or you get dead.
That's true, and it's better to be older than to be dead. Well, it depends on the person, really. Some people would rather be dead.
Sure. Absolutely, but now we're going into some weird philosophical place. Because we're here to talk about the Pro Football Hall of Fame announcement of the semifinalists. And some surprises, some good, some bad. And I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to sort of run them down. And here's a bit of blatant self-promotion because it's A, my show, and B, my site. We're going to run them down based on the rank that they have currently on NotInHallOfFame.com on the football list. And I've already said that publicly on Twitter, but I want to say, and also on the site. But here, Vinny, thank you so much for sort of helping indirectly, for bringing this up to 300 and bringing to my attention some players that I really hadn't thought of. And thank you for that.
Yeah, a lot of phenomenal names that I mentioned. Duke Slater, Lavi Dilwig, Ox Emerson, even some guys didn't even have on there, like Reuben Brown, I was big for. Steve Tasker, I don't think was on there.
Tasker was.
Clay Matthews, Browns fans won't shut up about. There's so many others. And hell, you even have Jim Plunkett on there, which kind of went against your own wishes.
Yes. Yeah, but amazingly, despite expanding it to 300, we have 2 semifinalists who are not on it.
Yes, there are.
There
are, but we will get to them a bit.
A bit last, because that's the order that we're doing it. So, started off with Alan Faneca, ranked number 3, someone who there's 2 people actually 3, that I really have sort of a personal stake in, and Faneca's one of them. I think he should have been in 2-3 years ago, and he's a semifinalist again. He's going to be a finalist. What say you?
Faneca needs to be in, period. Faneca needs to be in, and I'm looking at the 3 offensive linemen. I think all of them are going to make it to the finalists, and with me, I understand you also have another guard there, but at the same time, Faneca has been a finalist 4 times. 2 top 15, 2 top 10. He needs to make it this year. First team all-decade, 9-time Pro Bowler, also like 6-time All-Pro, 9-time All-Pro, doesn't matter. He was the consensus first team guard of the 2000s. No one better. Alan Faneca was number one. He was the best guard of the 2000s. Do you think the best guard of the 2000s decade deserves to be in? And I've seen some people that say, "Oh, I don't think anyone on this list." You're a clown if you think that. Alan Faneca absolutely no. It's not like he deserves to be in. He needs to make it this year.
Oh, I agree with you 1,000%, 1,010%. He should have been in already, and hopefully this wrong is sort of resolved. Why are fans not more upset about this, you think? Because you're more in tune with what's going on with the fan bases than I am.
Well, Steelers fans definitely want him. I also have been looking at, it usually comes to the base that wants Steve Hutchinson more. That usually comes down because they would want to see Hutchinson before Faneca because they see him more. But at the same time, there's those same people that don't view guards as more important as tackles, which I think is total BS personally. But at the same time, I think it also comes down to the fact that, he didn't make any notable plays, which again is BS, doesn't make any sense, and honestly idiotic. But
the whole point are the plays you don't see.
Not to mention a lot of these guys are also probably trolls, because I also looked at them in the Pro Football Talk comment section, which, man, you got to see. You know Mike Florio? Like, you probably heard of Mike Florio, have you?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, in the comment section of it on Pro Football Talk, it's probably some of the most weirdest freaking comment section I've ever seen for a sports journalist. Like all these people, like so many of them think that Art Modell is going to be a shoo-in this year for some reason. I'm not saying he's not deserving; he clearly is, but they just seem to get whiny over everything, and they seem to think that Art Modell is a lock because they think that the entire league of the NFL hates everyone and wants to punish them by putting in Art Modell for some. I don't understand. Like, oh my god.
The same people who are completely unaware that the two houses are separate.
They just don't understand. It's just mind-boggling, and it's only getting worse. Hell, I've been seeing some like actual professional people that are going to some of those levels, and it just speaks like some people are just. I'm going to say it. A lot of them are just unaware of why things are done or what's going on, and yeah, it just speaks with how the world is right now.
Mm-hmm. God, that's our second time we sort of went to philosophy, conspiracy, almost politics. We should just move right on and keep it on sports, huh? Number 5, I said I had 3. I said I had 3 people I'm super passionate about. Here's number 2. Rank number 5, Steve Atwater. It's time.
He needs to. Broncos fans, obviously, the passion went mostly towards Pat Bowlen because, he was a long-time owner. Mm-hmm. He also took a long time Jerry Jones, Steve Garnolo, Bobby Beathard. They feel like they're always screwed over. They now have 7 people in, no longer 5 because Champ Bailey made it, but they thought he was a shoe-in. But Atwater was the guy they were pushing for last year. Hell, in fact, they made 27 articles, of course, after Steve Atwater's number, 27, for 27 reasons why Steve Atwater needs to be in the Hall of Fame. And they did that all the way up to last year. And it was so effective, and also the push for him was so effective that when they went from 15 to 10, and then when they made that cut from 10 to 5, he was literally the last guy that was cut. Whenever that happens, I think for sure Steve Atwater needs to make. That's the guy that you have to put him in. You just need to. Like, he is also ranked the best safety of the 1990s. In terms of first-team all-decade, just like Alan Faneca, do you think the best safety of the 1990s should be in?
I would have to say yes.
Yeah, I'd assume so.
All right. So, do you think he could be? So, I think he's going to become a finalist. I'd say that you'd agree.
But yeah, I think
Yeah, we'll leave sort of like whether we think they're going to get in. I think till a little bit later because I'm assuming that you're going to be with me for the finalist show once they announce that.
of course I am.
Okay, perfect. So moving on, we've got someone who I think is going to walk right in. Number 7, first-year eligible Troy Polamalu.
What more do I have to say? I mean, Troy Polamalu is, even Jim Trotter on there said that there's no one else that I see as a slam dunk more than Troy Polamalu. And it shows he and Ed Reed were the 2 safeties chosen as the best safeties of the 2000s. Not only that, just like Ed Reed, he's also probably going to have a phenomenal bust.
Oh my God, is there enough bronze to even make one? With all that hair?
I mean, I mostly knew Troy Polamalu as the guy in the Head and Shoulders commercials when I was little.
Hey, he still does them with, no, is that now with Patrick Mahomes?
Yes, Patrick Mahomes says that it's great offense for your hair, and then Troy Polamalu says, "Oh, it's great defense against Flake."
It's awesome. Troy Polamalu will walk in. I would be shocked if he doesn't get in, but he's definitely going to be a finalist. I think we can agree on that. Number 8, number 8, I'm not in Hall of Fame, but the 4th semifinalist. We're going to offense, skill position, Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne is a guy that I think he could make it as a finalist this year. However, I don't know. It's pretty tough considering you also have to deal with one returning finalist. In fact, you've been a finalist the last 3 years, as well as two other finalists that have been semifinalists. I think in terms of the other 2 finalists, I feel like Wayne's probably going to stay as a semifinalist. Not saying he isn't deserving; he clearly is. But I think Reggie Wayne might take a couple years before he makes it as a finalist, at least until one of these when one of these wide receivers makes it in. I think that's when you're going to see Reggie Wayne make it as a finalist.
Yeah, and I think there's something to that, which sort of ties in with who's up next. Ranked number 9, Isaac Bruce, greatest show on turf. I can never say that enough. The greatest show on turf. I'm not a Rams fan by any stretch, but there's not too many like better sort of names than that. They're sort of iconic for a team in an era, like Purple People Eaters, Steel Curtain, greatest show on turf.
I should mention, speaking of Isaac Bruce, there is one person that I'm close to that's a family member of mine. That's a Rams fan that doesn't think Isaac Bruce belongs in.
Really? What's his rationale?
I'm not writing at anyone. I'm just saying, like.
No. What's his rationale? Like, why does he say that? Because
he just thinks he's just one of the people that want a very, very tiny hall, except he wants Joe Theismann in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I don't. That's why I'm never going to be a small hall guy because they're all hypocritical. But as for Isaac Bruce, I mean, he's been a finalist the last 3 years. The push for fans is very, very real, and I think Bruce, if he doesn't make it this year, he's definitely going to make it next year. However, I want him to make it this year because you're going to get Calvin Johnson next year. You're going to get Steve Smith Sr. soon. You're going to get Andre Johnson soon. The wide receiver buildup is going to be immense. I think you need to put Isaac Bruce in this year because the discussion of wide receivers is already probably more toxic than any other section.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I feel like you need to put a wide receiver. You need to put a wide receiver in the Hall of Fame. And I think because he's been a finalist the last 3 years, it has to be Isaac Bruce. He finished second all-time in receiving yards. Yes. While he might arguably not have been the best wide receiver on that Rams team, his case is a lot more cut and dry than his teammate.
Who has not been a finalist, and we're getting there. Yeah.
But that's why I think Bruce should make it, because just to clear up that logjam, because it's already messed up, and fans are getting heated. And I think you just, in order to just lay some ice on the fire, I think a good way to do is just putting Isaac Bruce in. I don't know if he will, but I think that'd be the smart move.
I have to agree with you. I think they have to get in a wide receiver. It reminds me, too, it wasn't all that long ago, like just the long wait for Andre Reed and Tim Brown, and we're right back here again.
I mean, that's a good way to show. I guess you could say that it's voters showing their okay boomer moments. you would say.
I just learned what that was a month ago.
Running backs get in sooner, whereas wide receivers have to wait.
Okay, so like you're a generation behind me. I know I'm segueing, but again, it's my show. So I'm from, I guess, what they call Generation X. So like, what are they going to call us? Like, okay, X? It doesn't have a ring to it, does it?
I think the okay boomer thing is personally pretty stupid, but because when people say boomer, I always say, like baby boomer, like 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds. What?
I'm not. I believe. Yeah, I think that's the 60-somethings. Or I don't even know. I'm not even sure, but it's one of those isms that seems to be okay with the left. I know we're going into politics again. Sexism bad, racism bad, ageism that's okay.
Yeah, it's really kind of weird. Like, there's one person that said that old people don't deserve to be in politics at all.
Who said that?
Just some person I banter off with sometimes online. He's an interesting individual. There's a lot of interesting individuals, but as someone of the people, I always have to kind of engage with them.
Yeah, remind me not to have American Thanksgiving at your place.
Yeah, yeah, I won't. But at the same time, he lives a while from me, so I don't think there's a chance.
Okay, so now we're sort of getting into people who probably, well, they might make the finals. I don't know. Actually, no, it's 15 people will, so they certainly could. Number 10 on our current rank, someone I don't want to say that I'm super passionate about, but one that I think seems to get a little bit. I think he's underrated overall, and that's Rondé Barber.
Yes, Rondé Barber. Listen, I grew up. My favorite player growing up was Tiki Barber, actually.
Yeah, you were telling me that once.
My favorite. In fact, I actually had an autograph when I was little. It was at the Boca Review. It's not too far from where I grew up in Huntington. Well, I'm from West Islip, but he was in Huntington, and I got my signature for him. But I think Rondé. Oh, he was the only member of the 40-20 club, which I recall. I think that's like 40 interceptions and 20 sacks, which is just ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And he played every single game. Like, he had the longest streak of a defensive back. I think he started the most amount of games ever, or something like that, or like most consecutive streak, something like that. But Rondé Barber was like, you look at the tiers. You have Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks. Then afterwards, you get John Lynch. Mm-hmm. You get Rondé Barber. Then you get Simeon Rice, which, again, I guess you could say it's spoiling the other two, but I'll talk about him later. But, yeah, Rondé Barber, I think it's time. I think it's time that he follows the other few and makes it as a finalist. I think it makes a lot of sense, considering that, I mean, the emphasis on safety. Don't forget, corner is still considered a defensive back as well. In fact,
yes.
I recall, I think he transitioned to safety later on in his career as he got older. Let's check that if he did or not. Rondé Barber.
He's listed as corner and safety, like on the official profile on Pro Football.
Yeah. He was a corner and a safety. He was first a corner, but then at the end of his career, he transitioned to safety. He was still pretty dominant, though.
Yeah, and although sort of, and we'll bring him up again because I think there's one player that almost. They're going to put one first and then the other. And I know you know where I'm going with that. But this segues perfectly with you. We were just talking about Isaac Bruce. So number 11 on the Not in Hall of Fame list is Torrey Holt, who will not get a look at the finals until Isaac Bruce gets in. Could we agree on that?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, that's nothing against Torrey Holt.
No, and it sucks. Because, like, for me, I don't know. This is where I get passionate here, Vinny. And usually, I feel weird because usually you're the most passionate one whenever we're doing these conversations. But I always feel you put the best ones, period, and you don't necessarily say, no, we have to put this one in first because of they're on the same team, same position, blah, blah, blah. They both deserve to be finalists, but they've got a pecking order right now, and it's Bruce over Holt. Right or wrong, it's Bruce over Holt. Both of them should be in the Hall of Fame. But Holt won't get a proper look, until they put in Isaac Bruce, because that's the order they've got.
I can understand as to why that's the case. In fact, I think Brian feels the same way because, like I've said before in another podcast, the reason why they probably have Bruce ahead of Holt is because Bruce played longer, and his case is pretty cut and dry. Finished second all-time receiving year. Done. With Holt, it's much more complex because you got to mention the All-Pros, you got to mention the records that he had in that time, you got to mention the All-Decade, you got to mention the span, you got to mention why it's less, yet it's very impactful. You also got to mention, years less, and also they retired at the same time. Bruce is a lot more cut and dry, while Holt is a lot more complicated, and Rams fans understand that too. That's why immediately after Bruce makes it, they're going to go just as hard for Holt, maybe even harder.
I hope they do. I really hope that they do. I think that they both deserve it, but if that's the pecking order, fine. So it almost makes me want to have Bruce as sort of my top wide receiver, even though I'm sort of like 50-50 with him and Reggie Wayne. But I'm sort of going against sort of what I normally say, but now I kind of want it to go Bruce before Wayne. Oh, Bruce Wayne? Look what I did. Batman?
Batman.
Yeah, okay, well done. Yes. I just distracted myself as I do easily. But yeah, I mean that's that we're going to see wide receivers. We're going to be talking about wide receivers for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like the demand for wide receiver, like I said, is getting very, very heated, very, very toxic. You need to have a wide receiver make it, and if you somehow don't get a wide receiver here, you need to have one or even two wide receivers for the 10 seniors you have, because the demand is just that large. And
right, and we're also locked into only having 5 of these players go through. So if one of them is not a wide receiver, my God, I mean, there's already a logjam, and it's going to get bigger and bigger, and well, such is life. I mean, wide receiver, to me, it wasn't that way when I was a kid. I mean, now I'd say that's sort of like the sexy offensive position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you were younger, if I recall, the running back was always the sexy
right,
position.
Exactly. So, I mean, you had Jerry Rice and everyone else.
Yeah, like that's why I wouldn't be shocked if in the near future you might see an increase in terms of the modern era guys that make it from 5 to potentially 6, because this logjam is just building and building, and voters are getting stressed out over it, annoyed by it. You have fans, of course, annoyed by it, and it just makes sense. I mean, if you're gonna keep complaining, you might as well just have one extra guy, so that way it's just easier for all parties involved.
And and like you and I said the first time we talked, pro football has the biggest rosters. It's really not that far out of whack for them to have a bigger Hall of Fame. It just isn't.
Yeah, in fact, the demand is getting higher, and people want to be satisfied more than ever, so why not just do it? I mean, bite the bullet. It's only going to give you rewards in the end.
Okay, so let's moving on to rank number 17. First-time nominee, Patrick Willis.
I was a little surprised he actually would make it to the semifinals. I'm not that surprised, but I'm a little surprised considering that his career, he ended a little shorter due to nagging foot and toe injuries throughout his career. I mean, look at Patrick Willis. My God. This guy was the force. He was the absolute force on that 49ers defense. He was 6-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler. He got the Buckets Award. He saw the All-Rookie team. He was Defensive Rookie of the Year. He had 950 tackles. Everyone knew Patrick Willis was arguably the best middle linebacker in the game, not named, Urlacher or Lewis. And that, I think, could hurt him in the end, but at the same time, I kind of wonder if he'll even make it as a all-decade member, because his career was in the late 2000s and ended in the early 2010s. It's that little caveat right there.
See, I'm not surprised that he made it this far, and he very well could be a finalist, just because of exactly what you just said. There was no doubt at one point in time that he was the best at his position. And when you have that, that trumps sort of a long career, I think. A long career, very good, as opposed to a short career with flashes where you were the best.
Yeah, Willis, you also had Justin Smith on that team, which personally, I think Justin Smith might eventually make it as a semifinals. It's a little bit of a dark horse, but
he could.
I could. I'd be down for it. I have a friend who's a big 49ers fan. He'd love to see it, but even then, even though that Smith was essentially the captain of that defense, Willis was the best player on there, and the fact that he's made it as a semifinalist, now I would not be shocked if he makes it as a finalist. However, the linebacker position is a little deep this year, so that's why I'm a little hesitant to say for sure you'll make it as a finalist. There's only one linebacker I see for sure making it as a finalist this year.
Mm-hmm. So moving on, this guy just seems to be in limbo. Number 20, Edgerrin James.
He's probably going to make it this year. If Isaac Bruce doesn't make it, I think James is going to make it because he's been in the finals the last few years. He's been a semifinalist. He was, when the cut down from 15 to 10 happened, he survived along with the 3 offensive linemen and Steve Atwater. I think Edgerrin James could make it. I think EJ might make it. However, there could be a chance he will.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have Isaac Bruce there as well. And the fandom man is noticeably larger for Isaac Bruce. However, at the same time, James also made it top 10. So that's really the big question, whether or not, what are they going to do? Are they going to put in the wide receiver, or are they going to put in the running back? I mean, even though the Edgerrin James has 2 other running backs that made it as semifinalists this year, they don't really pose a threat to him.
Oh, not at all.
Isaac has to deal with one big name and another big name, another big name, another big name, another big name. So many wide receivers that are trying to crowd his place, where James, he can just walk right in, which I think could be why he makes it. But I think because James doesn't really have as much of a threat to him, I think Bruce deserves it more. That's
right.
Nothing against James. I absolutely think Edgerrin James deserves to make it without a question. Edgerrin James made the All-Decade team. He also was a 4-time All-Pro, Offensive Rookie of the Year, 2-time rushing yards leader, finished with over 12,000 yards. But at the same time, I want Isaac Bruce more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's nothing against Edgerrin James. The reason why is nothing because of Edgerrin James. It's because of the position that he plays, and because there's just a bigger logjam at Bruce's position than James's position.
Right. No, I totally see that. So we've already touched on him before. Any more thoughts on number 24, Steve Hutchinson?
Hutchinson is the guy that some people think will make it instead of Faneca, but I personally think, Faneca's waited longer. He's been a 4-time finalist. Hutchinson has been a finalist the last 2 years, and he's been top 10 both years. However, I could see a situation where it's sort of like how Law and Bailey made it last year, where they put in both cornerbacks instead of just one of them. I could see a situation when they put in both Hutchinson and Faneca, because my guess is the reason why neither of them made it the last couple of years is because there's the base that wants Faneca more, and there's the base that wants Hutchinson more, and it seems so evenly matched that they cancel each other out. Which I'm the guy that says, come on, Jesus, just let bygones be bygones. Let one in, let the other guy get in the following year. No one's going to care.
All right, so from that, I'm actually going to skip some of the things that I had in order. I'm going to go to number 54, Tony Baselli. Could he be the wild card in this?
He's making it this year.
He's making it to the finals, or he's making it the whole way?
He's definitely making it to the finals, the top 10. And if Faneca and Hutchinson don't make it, Baselli's definitely going to make it.
Okay.
Also, if Faneca and Hutchinson cancel each other out again, Baselli's definitely going to make it.
Could very well be. So going back to canceling, so I'm going back up on the list here. The one that I always thought hurt Rondé Barber, someone who's been waiting a long time. I think he's been the finalist the most times now. Number 31, John Lynch.
Oh, John Lynch. Oh, my God. Poor dude. He's been waiting in that room. This is 8 years old, but he's a finalist 6 times, man. Can you imagine not getting the knock for 6 years? Man, it's got to be just, oh, my God. I mean, And that's not even worse. I've seen players like Kramer wait till his 11th time as a finalist to finally make it. And there's some guys like Kuchenberg who had it 9 times, never made it. Connolly 7 times hasn't made it yet either. And you also have L.T. Greenwood 6 times and Lester Hayes 4 times. Lynch had it 6 times. Poor dude. But even then, I think he has to wait another year because you have Atwater, who, nothing against Lynch, but Atwater was first team all decade, and the push for Atwater, especially considering he was so close last year, I think you're going to have Palomalo and Atwater make it, and I think Lynch will finally make it the year afterwards.
But does he become a finalist this year, you think? I'd say so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's been a finalist the last 6 years. I mean, what chance is it that he doesn't make it as a finalist this year? It's highly unlikely, considering the fact that after Palomalu and Atwater, you could say the third best one on there is easily John Lynch, considering he's been a finalist so often, so consecutively, and let down every year for him personally.
Mm-hmm. All right, so moving on from the Dolphins, number 39, Zach Thomas.
He needs to make it as a finalist right now.
Why do you think he's sort of like been forgotten?
I don't know. I mean, I could say he played for the Dolphins, but Jason Taylor made it first ballot. I think it comes down to the fact that, Jason Taylor was a bigger presence on that team. No. When I say presence, I don't mean like plays. I mean media coverage.
Right.
Zach Thomas did not win Defensive Player of the Year. Also, a lot of voters, right or wrong, seem to emphasize the defensive end more than they do the linebacker. And when you have a guy like, I see this in Dolphins fans all the time, Zach Thomas' stats, a good chunk of them, such as tackles, and I think also interceptions, if I recall, are more than Brian Urlacher. In fact, Zach Thomas has been a first-team All-Pro 5 times, while Urlacher has only been a first-team All-Pro 4 times. Urlacher made it first ballot. Zach Thomas is on his 7th year of eligibility and hasn't even sniffed the finalist round yet. I think out of all the guys on here, not named Troy Polamalu, the guy that I think will be at the finals for the first time has to be Zach Thomas. I was saying before which linebacker I think is a lock to make it as a finalist. Zach Thomas, easily, no question about it. Zach Thomas, it's not that he might get in, he has to make it as a finalist. He has to. He just needs to. I mean, I see this in Dolphins all the time. 12 seasons for the team. Also his 13th year with the Cowboys, but who really cares? 7-time All-Pro. Technically means 8-time All-Pro. 8-time Pro Bowler because one of them, he was first-team All-Pro but didn't make the Pro Bowl for some reason. I don't know. Wrap your head around that because I don't understand it either. AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year, 2-time Linebacker of the Year, All-Decade Team. I mean, come on. That just screams you should have been in the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, man.
Well, he should have at least not have had to wait this long, or because I think it was the first 3 years he wasn't even a semifinalist.
I think it's also because he played in an era where you had Ray Lewis and you had Brian Urlacher in the same decade. Both play middle linebacker, and so does Zach Thomas. And because the Dolphins were not as successful as the Ravens or even the Bears during that time, it's why Zach Thomas is probably still here, and that's why the Dolphins fans are really, 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 really pissed off.
Yeah, and I think they should be. They definitely should be. Number 40 is someone who's been a multi-time semifinalist. I think he's going to be a semifinalist again, or he is a semifinalist again, sorry, but won't be a finalist. Hines Ward, he's not going to the next round. He should.
Yeah, he's not.
But at some point, but
I think he'll make it some point. Yeah. This is going to be his fourth time. It's his fourth time as semifinalist. And, you have Holt, you have Bruce, you have Wayne, and nothing against Ward, but all three of those, in terms of their career, better than Ward.
Yep. Yeah, I'd agree. Nice surprise at number 48, Ricky Watters. I never would have. I was surprised by that more than anyone else, actually.
Very pleasant surprise
Yes.
for me, Ricky Watters. There's a fan page, which isn't really that active the last month, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them are really happy. the NFL top 10 list, which again I wouldn't put too much stock in, but they ranked him as the 7th best guy not in the Hall of Fame.
Over everyone? Ricky Waters, really?
It doesn't make any sense to me either because, it was all over the place. Like, you had Tiki Barber ranked ahead of Steve Atwater, I believe. It didn't make any sense to me. But either way, Ricky Waters is a semi-finalist. He was the player that could do all sorts of things. He was a multi-time All-Pro. He was a 5-time Pro Bowler. He was a great receiving guy. He was a great rushing guy. He was a complete back. He did everything. Sort of like Roger Craig. But,
oh, God, don't get you started on that.
But Ricky Waters, his running style, it was very unique, too. He had that high step, which was very, very, very unique. And I think some people assume that a big reason why is because he didn't have exactly the best relationship with the media. Of course, the for who, for what line when he was with the Eagles. I personally, one of those people that I just don't care about that at all. That's why I think Ricky Waters is absolutely deserving of semifinals. Now, do I think he's going to make it as a finalist this year? No. I don't think there's any chance. I don't think there's any chance. But the fact he made it as a semifinalist, bravo. I don't know what happened, but I'm happy it did.
All right, so number 52, Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour made it as a finalist last year. I would not be shocked if he makes the top 10 this year.
I don't see him going any further than that. And it's the progression he's got to keep going.
That's fine.
He's got to make it to the finals, and I think he will. And that should be considered a win, especially if he returns to top 10, I'd say.
Yeah, especially someone like me who has a very, very big love for wanting more Patriots in, which is weird because I'm from New York. But there's I've said before that these dynasty Patriots, they might be underrepresented for now, but I think you're going to see a Broncos Raiders level anger from that base that's going to want Harrison, and they're going to want Harrison, they're going to want Mankins. Some might even say Welker. Some will definitely, hopefully, say Slater. And of course, you're going to and Wilfork. Don't forget. And yes, of course, you can't forget about it.
Yeah, I can forget. I can forget about that.
Yeah, but at least they want more. And I think you had Law in. Seymour's the next guy, then probably Harrison, then Wilfork when he's eligible. But it's a gradual progression, and I think Seymour is very deserving. In terms of accolades, he was, if I recall, in terms of defensive, he was listed as sorry, I made a mistake, but he was listed first team all decade.
And just an incredible player, great character. I hope he gets in one day for sure.
He's definitely going to make it in the next few years for sure. He made it first team all decade as defensive tackle. The other guy that made it first team all decade was Warren Sapp because, well, he's Warren Sapp. Let's be real here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, Richard Seymour's no Warren Sapp, but on Richard Seymour, for sure, I don't think there's a question in my mind. One of the best defensive linemen of the 2000s. Just a very vital cog of that Patriots defense of the 2000s, because if you remember, the Patriots team of the 2000s, especially the early 2000s, were much more defensive-heavy team, which we're kind of seeing a little bit now. But back then, they were way more on the defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very, very versatile. He was both a Pro Bowler as a 4-3 defensive tackle and a 3-4 defensive end.
Right.
That is very impressive. Very impressive.
All right, so moving on, we've got a nice little return here. Sam Mills, number 60.
My dad loves Sam Mills. Sam Mills, like the USFL, great way to represent that would be Sam Mills. What's weird is that even though that he played most of his career with the Saints, he's more connected with the Panthers.
He is now, yeah. Keep pounding. Yep, that's true.
By the way, Ron Rivera, you're definitely going to get a head coaching job next year. Don't worry.
So was he sacked today? I was hearing that might happen.
He was fired today, Ron Rivera.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Well,
he's definitely going to get a job next year for sure. Ron Rivera's a great coach.
Well, Lovie Smith is still looking for a job, so you never know.
I thought Lovie Smith is Lovie Smith is coaching in the collegiate ranks.
Oh, is he? Well, which college? Do you know?
Illinois, University of Illinois.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But granted, to be fair, in college, they ain't doing too hot. 15-33. Yeah. But to be fair, right now they were 6-6. They made it to their first bowl game. So, granted, not exactly great, but hey.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Nice. Like, what is it gonna be? Like the Pepperidge Farm Bowl or whatever the hell?
Who even knows? I don't really keep up with that with Midwestern collegiate football.
Well,
but going back with St. Mills, I think it's considered the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And one guy I never mentioned on there, but one guy I should. William Heffelfinger was the first guy to ever play professional football, and I think absolutely he deserves to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because it wouldn't have even existed without him, you could say. And I should mention you should definitely add him to the 300 list.
If he doesn't become one of the seniors, I will. That's my promise to you.
Okay, I don't worry. I have faith in you, man. Don't lose hope in me. But as for Sam Mills, very, very great player. USFL would be a great way to connect the two. One that might be even just as good, if not better, would be Herschel Walker. That'd be very nice.
Oh, I would love that. All right, so this one I think you're going to have a lot to say. Number 78, and I'm sure some people are going to say that's way too low, but whatever. A semifinalist again, and the push for him is strong. Clay Matthews.
Yay! Clay Matthews Jr., who I should mention, you remember that whole fan poll that we talked about the last time?
Yeah, where is he now? Because they're still doing it, right?
He's still fourth. What's weird is how Donald Driver's still ranked number one.
Well, God, okay.
That doesn't. Granted, the sample is meaningless, but the push is still just as large, if not even larger than before. The demand for Clay Matthews Jr. is very, very strong. And, of course, you know about Clay Matthews. When he retired, number one in tackles, played more seasons than any other linebacker ever. That has to be accounted for something. He was the best player on that Browns team, especially on the defensive side. You know, you have Bruce in. Of course, Bruce can advocate for Clay, and then, Poppy Clay, middle one, Junior. And, of course, the biggest push is his daughter, Jen Matthews, who's been trying to get people to push and push and push and push and kind of advocating, really leading this charge. Because of how big it is, I don't know about you, I think he might make it as a finalist.
I actually do, too. I really do. I think he's going to become a finalist. I don't think he'll get advanced further than that. I could be wrong. I mean...
I think he might. Just that... With me, I think there's no way that Matthews makes it a finalist and Thomas doesn't. I think you need to have Thomas as a finalist, and then Clay Matthews Jr. can easily slide right in. Because other than that, I think, have Thomas in, and then we can talk about Clay Matthews Jr. as a finalist. And this is 19th year of eligibility, so he is this year and next year, and then you're probably going to have like a Raiders-esque kind of push for Clay Matthews Jr. And of course,
yeah, but
I heard that they want to see Ernest Biner next for some reason. God. They want to see Ernest Biner. It's sort of like the same thing with Raiders fans. How they like Bill Villapiano and they just ignore guys like Steve Wisniewski and Lester Hayes. Just like how Browns fans like to ignore Dick Shafrath and Max Speedy.
Yeah, but at least when the Browns are pushing for Clay Matthews Jr., I get it. When the Raiders are pushing for some of the guys they're pushing for, I don't get it at all.
I have to mention that there was a Raiders fan that was annoyed that there was no Raiders that made it as semifinals this year. I said, man, that's interesting. You got a guy right there by the name of Steve Wisniewski who had 8 All-Pros and was part of the All-Decade team in the 1990s, and not a single one of you guys put any stock into pushing for him. Instead, you put all your attention, you put all your eggs into Cliff Branch, you put all your eggs into Tom Flores, and even some of them to Jim Plunkett. Just those 3 guys, and you completely ignored Raiders that were in the preliminary list. Hell, I've seen more discussion for Greg Townsend than Steve Wisniewski.
I don't get it. I will never understand it. Like, did Steve Wisniewski? Did he personally go and fuck all of their wives?
Well, actually, this was a woman version, but for all I know, she might have been lesbian because.
So her wife.
But yeah, it makes sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, maybe he would have made it if you actually spoke about him.
I don't understand the lack of love for this man. I don't understand it. It's not like he did. Like, was there something that he did media-wise that made him unlikable that I'm not aware of? Am I missing something?
No, it's because he played in an era where the Raiders were in the 90s. You know, Tim Brown was the biggest show. It also doesn't make any sense because he was also their offensive line coach in 2011. And he played and started in 206 games. I mean, and his son, Stephen Wisniewski, played for the Eagles. In fact, if I recall, he's with the Chiefs now. But it's just baffling. This is easily, in terms of fan bases not advocating for a player that's deserving, this easily takes number one for me. Easily. Doesn't even come.
Yeah, close. No, I agree with you. And the thing is, I was going to ask you too, like, who do you think is the biggest omission? You and I came up with the same thing. Right. And so, we don't even have to finish with that because, like, that's sort of where it was. And then I'm going to give a props out to, or I'd say future props to Browns fans. I believe that once he's eligible, they're going to push hard for Joe Thomas to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And they had nothing. He will go in as the person with the worst football record, like for wins and losses, and probably in first ballot. And he should. He should go in. Like,
Joe Thomas is one of the greatest players I've ever seen live.
Absolutely. Well, I can't say seen live for me because I never saw it. God, have I ever seen a Browns game live? No, I haven't.
I've seen some Browns games live because I have no life. But yeah, Joe Thomas, I think, no question, Joe Thomas is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But, hey, Raiders fans, Browns fans are crazy as well. They're doing a whole lot of stuff and believing that Mason Rudolph's the Klansman and whatever. All this stuff. But at least they're pushing for the right people.
Yeah.
You're pushing for guys that have no chance.
I'll never understand it. I will never understand that. Well, okay. Again, that's why I drink. Well, I would have drank anyway.
Maybe you're right. Maybe there's asbestos in the stadium for all we know.
In the Oakland Stadium, I think there is. We'll see I'm really curious how that's going to change when they move to Vegas.
It's probably going to be gambling and hookers and everything else. It's also going to, for all we know, soon they're going to ask when soon you're going to see demand for John Gruden as a first ballot Hall of Famer, and then you're going to see stuff.
I just want to go back here. You're bashing gambling and hookers like that's a bad thing.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just what the mantra of the Raiders. Also, I think the reason that's why they probably don't advocate for Wisniewski as much is because the Raiders' identity really stemmed from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, whereas Wisniewski played in the 90s, where they didn't have that same mantra. Which I think that's another reason.
I think that's a huge part of it.
Which again just tells you like they're kind of they're just stuck in the past, and they're just stuck in the past. Which I can understand. You know, the Raiders haven't had a lot to cheer about since the Super Bowl loss to the Buccaneers. But my God, understand and respect Steve Wisniewski, please, he's begging you, please.
And it's not like they're not going to the games and they weren't there to pay attention. They were.
Yeah, you think they would because they're always still in the stadium. But apparently, I think I've seen a total of one. I've seen one Raiders fan ever say they want to see Wisniewski. One Raiders fan, one of them, just one. That's appalling.
It is because here you and I are. I know you're not a Raiders guy. I'm not a Raiders guy. And how is it that you and I are pushing for this more than the Raiders populace? What forget it. I don't even want to go on.
My guess is honestly because we read.
Yes. All right, so we got 7 more left. Another semifinalist again. Leroy Butler.
I think, there could be a good chance that I think either him or the other safety listed this year makes it as a finalist. I think there's a good chance that he does. Because I'm not 100% sure. I think seeing 4 safeties is a little bit as finalists is a little pushing it. Because I think you're going to see 3 for sure: Polamalu, Atwater, and Lynch. As for 4th one, though, I don't know.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and I like Butler a lot. I really do.
Lambeau Leaf.
Yeah, absolutely. Like phenomenal player. It's going to be tough for him to advance. If he does, I hope it's not at the expense of another safety.
And also, Atwater and like Butler, Atwater and Butler were both on the first team 90s.
Mm-hmm.
The 90s first team. There's no way that Butler is making it before Atwater.
No.
Don't let the dumb fan polls fool you otherwise. Ugh. There's no way that Butler is making it before Atwater.
Wow. No, you're 100% right on that. Darren Woodson, number 105.
Yeah, another guy. I think there could be a chance that Woodson might make it instead of Butler this year.
He could.
I would not be shocked because, unlike Butler, Woodson was the quarterback of the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that, Haley and Sanders, yes, but Woodson was considered a multifaceted, multi-skilled player. And because of that, I would not be shocked if Woodson advances, even though he's not all-decade. But to be fair, similar situation, also played, kind of the mid-90s, early 2000s. It's understandable. It's a similar situation with some of these other players.
So coming up next, and you're so passionate about special teamers, so I really want your take on this one. Number 115, Steve Tasker. He's a semifinalist. Last time it was 2013. It's not usual that they have a 7-year leap or gap like this.
I'm happy they do.
But I'm stunned. I thought they forgot about him completely.
Never. No.
I know you don't, but I mean, I thought that they would have, because they haven't. Yeah,
they have not either.
Does he have a shot?
Yes.
Okay, but is that you hoping, or is that you thinking that he really does?
Bit of both, actually.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Obviously, I really want to see Steve Tasker make it. And I thought it was very, very foolish that Jim Trotter can go these big demands and advocating for Bruce and for Ward and for James. Well, Steve Tasker's like, I don't know if the voters would be feeling the same way. Come on, dude. You're a journalist. You've been covering this game for years. You really don't want to be a little bit passionate about Tasker? What's your deal with Tasker there, buddy? What's your deal with Tasker? What do you do? What, you play special teams? What do you have against special teams, huh? Steve Tasker made the semifinalist. You're willing to advocate for all these other guys that have a less of a chance than Tasker. Why don't you mention him a little bit, buddy? Why don't you mention him, Jim? Please, I'm begging you. I mean, you're a voter in that room. You should. You've seen him play. You're a voter. Why not? You don't think he's deserving? Why? Like special teams? He's still a semifinalist. Why does that matter? Considered probably the best pure special teamers ever. You're not going to advocate a little bit for that? Not at all? Okay, then. Your job, I guess.
And he was. Oh, man. One of the... oh my God, he was. He so was.
7-time first team All-Pro.
Yes, he was. Bang that gavel.
And I see some people like, I forget his name, but he said, special teamers don't belong in because they just didn't make it to the offense or the defense position. Which, understandably, yes. But, understand this. He changed the game, man. And this is all it's about. It's changing the game. He's considered the greatest pure special teamers ever. ever, purely ever.
It's like, ever. It's like the DH in baseball. Okay, yeah, they're not a great fielder, but you still have them.
Same way. I feel the same way. Tasker is my Edgar Martinez. Steve Tasker is my Edgar Martinez. Steve Tasker, now, to be fair, I have no issue with the fact that Steve Tasker was not nominated into the NFL 100th anniversary. I have no problem with that because, obviously the attention to go to the kickers, punters, and the special teamers, and there aren't that many big, pure special teams guys like Tasker. The only other guy you can say is close is Matt Slater, who I also have a big man crush for. Not as much as Tasker, though, but he also won Pro Bowl MVP. Only special teamer to ever do that.
That's true.
And now, granted, the Pro Bowl doesn't mean jack, but at the same time, when you're the only guy to ever do it, only guy to ever do it, don't you think that means at least a little bit?
Yeah, I would have had to watch a Pro Bowl to really answer that question.
True, but he won MVP. Honestly, that's all that matters.
All right. Here's a bit of a surprise. Number 176. I didn't see him as a semifinalist. Bryant Young.
Yeah, Bryant Young. I didn't see him either. I didn't think he'd make it either. I'm also pretty surprised that he made it.
And nothing against him. There's nothing wrong with him as a semifinalist. I just didn't see this coming.
I didn't think, honestly, personally, between you and me,
and everyone listening,
I thought I'd have to wait at least 5 more years for it to happen. But without coaches, bravo. That's a great choice because he was in the same era as Cortez Kennedy, John Randall, and Warren Sapp. So it's understandable why Bryant Young was overshadowed. Not to mention, unlike those other 3 guys, Bryant Young had a much quieter demeanor. He was a much more humble, kind of kept to himself a lot. He wasn't a very big, outspoken kind of player. But not to mention, he's so underrated. Even though that Dana Stubblefield won Defensive Player of the Year, he left to go with the Redskins, whereas Bryant Young was arguably a much bigger force on the defensive line. Truly remarkable player. Really underrated. One of the most underrated players of the entire 1990s. And even though he had a big, devastating leg injury, they didn't even know. It was so bad that the metal rod had to be put in it. That's how bad his leg injury was. And he came back so strong. That he won Comeback Player of the Year the following in 1999. That's how dominant he was. That's how tough he was. In fact, he was so tough that he has the most amount of safeties in 49ers history. 3rd all-time in sacks. And, he won the Super Bowl champion very early in his career. And he always stuck around. Like, Bryant Young, that's also why he was very underrated, too, because he played when the Niners were transitioning from a Super Bowl contender to a team that was ass in the 2000s. He was, in that middle section.
I'm glad he got that Super Bowl ring early, too.
Yeah, I'm happy as well. And, just such an underrated player. Right, so, I'd love to see him as a finalist. However, I
won't happen.
Don't see it. Because listen, it took him this long to make us a semifinalist. I'd be literally shocked if he made it. As a finalist.
and I think at this point we should sort of state that this is not a shot at the ability of Bryant Young or any of these other players. To make it this far is incredible. It's just the bar is set so high.
Yeah, and I like Bryant Young. But there's nothing against him. I'm so happy, and I think this is going to be better things for him in the future, the near future. I guarantee it. But I think personally that Bryant Young, I was shocked that he even made it semifinalist.
Yeah. The next 3 for me, because we got 3 left, right? They're all, nice, pleasant surprises. One I'm not that passionate about, honestly. But so number 289, Carl Banks.
My dad loved him. My dad really, really loved him.
Well, my dad loved him. Was your dad a Giants? Because you're more of a Jets guy than Giants, right? Oh no, you're more of a Giants guy. Sorry.
No. I like all the teams,
okay.
But he likes Carl Banks because one of the things now Carl Banks only had one Pro Bowl, but he still made it in the 1980s All-Decade team.
Right, which means a lot.
I I didn't think that Carl Banks would even make this. I thought the guy, because you usually have at least one of these guys that make it on the final year of eligibility, like Everson Wall made it and shot up all the way to the finals in his final year, which was a phenomenal surprise. Very, very happy about that. But Carl Banks, I didn't think he'd be the guy, Justin. I thought it'd be either Wilbur Marshall or Chris Hinton. But the fact that it was Carl Banks, a guy I wasn't even thinking about, not bad. Not bad at all. Really pleasant surprise.
Does he advance?
I don't think there's any chance to make
the
finals this year.
I have to agree.
And that's nothing against Carl Banks.
Sure.
I think the fact that he made it this far is a great achievement, and I think it could definitely lead to more discussion in the future. After all, he did help out Harry Carson, especially Lawrence Taylor's development. In fact, if you ask a lot of coaches, they had the game plan for Carl Banks because he was a big reason as to why Lawrence Taylor was so good indirectly. But yeah, I'm happy he made it, but he ain't making it past this.
So we got two more. Simeon Rice, who's not ranked on my list, or on my not in Hall of Fame list.
That's odd, considering he was a semifinalist a couple of years ago. Like Simeon Rice, I'm not super passionate about Simeon Rice. I mean,
I'm not either.
Especially considering you have John Lynch on there, you have Ronnie Barber on there, and honestly, I'm more passionate about Mike Allstott if you were to actually. But,
you've mentioned that.
Rice, yes, I'm more passionate about their fullback than their defensive end. But yeah, Simeon Rice is definitely a quality player, and I would not be shocked if he makes it as a finalist because the defensive end. However, I just can't see myself really saying it very confidently or really with that much enthusiasm if he makes it as a finalist this year. I just really, I could see it, but I don't see it. And also, it'd be kind of weird, and if he does, he's not making it past top 15. Simeon Rice, quality player, made it a semifinal. I could definitely see it in the future. Very quality, very underrated. Most-time All-Pro. Maybe, but it might take a little bit, and I think even he would be okay with it.
Mm-hmm. And the last one surprised me quite a bit. I did not see this one coming at all. Fred Taylor.
That shocked me. That immensely shocked me because Fred Taylor, if you just look at pure Pro Bowls and All-Pro, he only had one of them in 2007. However, understand the fact that he played for a team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had outside of maybe the Chargers now, the smallest draw out of any other team in the NFL. And also, they were never really on prime time, but man, Fred Taylor was a very underrated player for many years. And also, if you look at rushing yards, Frank Gore, future Hall of Famer, absolutely. But I should mention this. In terms of running backs with 11,000 or more rushing yards, how many yards per carry do you think Fred Taylor had?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. What's the answer?
Not even a little guess. I mean,
no, because I'm just going to embarrass myself.
Well, I'm going to tell you. Before you say
all right, 4.2
by guys that are in. Emmitt Smith 4.2, Walter Payton 4.4, Curtis Martin 4.0, Barry Sanders of course 5.0, Jerome Bettis 3.9, Eric Dickerson 4.4, Tony Dorsett 4.3, Marshall Faulk 4.3.
Hey! My doorbell just rang. Just hold on. I got to pause this. 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Who the hell is calling me right now? God damn it! I gotta edit all this shit. I'll be right back. Okay. Come on, Jasper. See what this is. I locked my wife out. Ah, crap. Means I gotta edit. All right. So yeah. So let's start this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start with the Fred Taylor thing.
Okay. Now, how many yards per attempt do you think? How many yards per attempt do you think Fred Taylor had?
I would have guessed 4.2.
Emmitt Smith has 4.2.
Okay.
Walter Payton has 4.4. Okay. LaDainian Tomlinson has 4.3. Jerome Bettis has 3.9. Eric Dickerson has 4.4. Tony Dorsett has 4.3. Marshall Faulk has 4.3. Marcus Allen has 4.1.
Mm-hmm.
Franco Harris is 4.1. Thurman Thomas is 4.2. I'm listing all those guys. I'm listing all the guys that have had 11,000 or more rushing yards.
Okay.
Taking a couple out because they're more. Do you want to know how much Fred Taylor has?
No, how much?
4.6.
Yeah. Really?
4.6. He has more yards per attempt than Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Curtis Martin, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jerome Bettis, Eric Dickerson, Tony Dorsett, Marshall Faulk, Marcus Allen, as well as Edgerrin James, Franco Harris, and Thurman Thomas. The only guys that have more than him are Adrian Peterson, Barry Sanders, and Jim Brown.
Okay, you're making me a believer here.
Yeah, like
to a point. Because this is not the running back, though, that I would have put in this spot. I would have put Sean Alexander here. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
No, I would have put Sean Alexander here as well because Sean Alexander, if I recall, has over 100 rushing touchdowns.
He does, yeah.
I think he's like second all time, which is incredible. But I was surprised that Fred Taylor made it. And this is nothing against Fred Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Fred Taylor whatsoever. I am shocked and very pleasantly surprised he made it. But I really do think Sean Alexander, considering that he won an MVP, I honestly think he probably should have gotten it more instead of him. But again, nothing against Fred Taylor. But I think the increase in Sean Alexander is probably going to pick up, especially when you have Fred Taylor and Ricky Waters as semifinalists. The increase in Sean Alexander is going to increase, and yeah, it should.
So we've pretty much gone over each one of these. Is there anyone other than Wisniewski that you would have liked to have seen as a semifinalist that wasn't? Just one guy.
Well, I was mentioning before, if Carl Banks didn't make it, I think that Chris Hinton would have made it.
Right.
Chris Hinton was very, very underrated for his time with the Colts. He was actually the other part of that John Elway.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he was a 5-time All-Pro, and as a tackle, very underrated because I'm shocked they only had 3 offensive linemen here. I could have sworn, I would have thought they would have put in a 4th one at least, but they didn't. And, not that shocked, but at the same time, a little surprised.
I am too. Canton loves their offensive linemen.
I'm a little bit disappointed, but also not shocked that there's no quarterback. I told you before, I love Randall Cunningham. I love Donovan McNabb.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see both of them make it because Cunningham changed the game.
Yep,
and
agreed.
McNabb, I really do feel bad for him because of all the stuff that he's getting on social media.
Oh my God, it's brutal.
Yeah, it's just stupid. And also, not to mention because they're both black quarterbacks, and because of how people are saying that, I think that would work too.
I think that's part of it.
I also thought that Rodney Harrison would make it this year because you've been seeing all the stuff about how they think it's discrimination against him and against other Patriots. I thought he would at least get some interest considering it's like Ray Lewis, he's part of the 30-30 club, and he's not. I was a little shocked by that, but also not that shocked considering you already have 5 safeties on there, so it's understandable as to why he wasn't chosen. Because, I think 5 safeties is enough as semifinalists. It's understandable as to why Harrison did it. But then the last guy I'm a little shocked didn't make it was Neil Smith because I thought that he might be the next guy that makes it a semifinalist. Instead, you get 4 guys that I didn't think would make it semifinals at all this year. And as for the one that I probably want to see the most, Brian Mitchell. That's the one I wanted to see the most. But I didn't think it would happen, even though I would have loved it. But again...
But you got to be happy that Tasker's there.
Yeah, I'm happy that Tasker's there. I was happy that Tasker's there, so I'm not that upset that Mitchell's there. But I'm also happy that Mitchell is NFL 100. And White Shoes might make it again, like he did for 70s, 80s, and 75th anniversary team. And yes, White Shoes for Canton, absolutely. But
is there a movement on that?
But I think in terms of his total yards, there could be a really good case for Brian Mitchell, and I'd be fine with all of them because when I see all that list, I see 4 Hall of Famers. When I look at all those kick returners, I see 4 Hall of Famers. You may say, oh, those are 4 guys that weren't good enough to be wide receivers. I see 4 kick returning Hall of Famers.
And there's so many. There's so many who should. So Vinny will be doing this again once they announce the finalists. I guess it'll be a month and a half from now.
Oh, wait, just before we go,
yeah.
Which of these we mention which finalists you see, which of these guys you see making it as finals? I don't think we had a chance to do this.
Oh, I mean, pick which 15 I think it's going to be?
Yeah, what 15 of these semifinalists do you think will make it?
Okay, Faneca, Atwater, Palomalu, Wayne, Bruce, Barber. What am I at? 6.
You're at 6.
James, Hutchinson, Lynch, Thomas. It's 9. Seymour, 10. Baselli, 11. Matthews, 12. Won't be Holt. I'm not sure about Willis.
You're at like 12 right now.
Yeah. I'm just looking here who we got left. All right, Woodson is a surprise. He'll go through. Patrick Willis.
One left.
Do I have 1 left or 2 left?
Yeah, I think you have a 1 left.
Willis.
No. After Willis.
Oh, after Willis. After Willis. Sam Mills.
Maybe I could do that. As for mine, well, I see everyone that's made the finals last week. So James, Baselli, Ward, not Ward. James, Bruce, Baselli, Hutchinson, Faneca. Don't see Ward making it. And maybe Reggie Wayne. I'm not too sure. Seymour, Thomas, Matthews, Barger, Palomalu, Lynch, Atwater, Woodson. How many do I have? Is that 13 or 14?
14, I think.
And for my last guy?
Mm-hmm.
Dave Tasker.
Is that what you think or is that what you want?
A bit of both.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You could say I could see Willis or Mills. I've seen some people say maybe Simi Rice. I can't see Simi Rice in comparison to I can't say with a straight face that I would think Simi Rice would be making before Tasker, especially considering that Tasker made it as another semifinalist. If not him, probably Mills. I'd be down with Mills, but I don't know if there's going to be 3 linebackers. I think having 4 safeties is kind of pushing it. But if there's only 3 safeties and there's 3 linebackers, I think Tasker is my guy. But that's who I would choose for. But as for what I think, I'm going to say maybe another linebacker, but I also don't feel confident in that either. But, that's both my think and want list. But the want for Tasker is strong, but, there is a growing push to Bills fans.
I'd happily bet against it, but I don't want to be right. I'd like to see Tasker make it as a finalist. I would really like that.
Now, keep in mind, just because I see Tasker making it as a finalist doesn't, even though I'm passionate about Tasker making it as a finalist, doesn't mean I'm going to be as passionate making it this year. Because I think making it as a finalist, right now, it would be a win for me. It would be a win for me and other people. Because I think that's all I'm looking for at least. That's all I'm looking for at least.
And that does matter when you're looking at some of the future stuff for seniors. If Ray Guy wasn't a finalist a couple times, I don't think he's in the the Hall of Fame now.
He was a Ray Guy. Ray Guy was final several times.
No, I know, but I'm saying, but if he wasn't a finalist at least a couple times, I don't think the momentum would have pushed for him to eventually get in. Is what I'm saying.
True, but I think you still probably would have had it because Raiders fans and
because we're so high on what Raiders fans think.
Yeah. Also, not to mention, Chris Cluey that had the whole post-it note of put Ray Guy in, and you're kind of seeing a little bit of that with Tasker. I mean, I think there was a lot of Bills fans that were actually a little bit pissed that Tasker didn't make it in the NFL 100. With what I'm looking at, I think could mean good thing for Tasker, but conservatively, I would say I'm going to say to myself no and say Sam Mills or Darren Woodson, but I think Tasker's a finalist. I think that's all I need. That's all I need. him as a finals. I don't care if he makes it this year because I don't think it will happen.
I love it. Your needs are few.
What?
I was saying your needs are few. I love it.
My needs are few, and like there's one of those, like Tasker is like one of those very, Thomas and Tasker are the two guys I want as finalists. Thomas I think needs to happen, and Tasker I want to happen. So I think it comes down to like righting a wrong, and I think Thomas and Tasker as finalists would make a lot of sense. No, it's not Clay Matthews Jr. and no, it's not Fred Taylor. It's Tasker for me.
Well, it's not. There's no way in hell it's going to be Fred Taylor making the finals. And
no, the only way I could see Fred Taylor making it is if you really, if you actually. I mean, you've seen some people say Simeon Rice, but I just can't see Simeon Rice making it as a semifinalist. I could see Mills. I could see either a third linebacker, a fourth safety, or of course Steve Tasker.
Think about this for a second. So let's say, because I think you and I both agreed that Tony Baselli's a lock to be a finalist, right? So with the great history of the Jacksonville Jaguars, was going to be two Jaguars as a finalist. There's no way.
No way in hell. Especially considering that one of them, no one thought would even make it as a semifinalist this year.
Yeah, I mean that was a gift. That was a gift. And again, I feel like I'm taking a big giant dump on Fred Taylor, and I'm not. It's just a very, very good player, and you educated me on something I did not know about. But he's not a Hall of Fame guy. He's just not.
I would say with Fred Taylor, I'm happy he made it as a semifinalist, but you need to have Baselli in, you need to have James in, you need to maybe even have Waters in, and you need to have several running backs in the senior category, like Amici and, of course, Craig.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then I would say Taylor for sure, but, I guess it comes down to also the fact that I mentioned Fred Taylor, but Tiki Barber had more yards per attempt.
Tiki
4.7.
Tiki was so good. Oh man, like if he would have just played two more years. Oh.
And also for Tiki Barber, and again, I'm not hating on Fred Taylor, but Tiki Barber, unlike Fred Taylor, made it as a first-team All-Pro. I think the reason why he probably isn't a semifinalist is probably because the way it ended, which I think will eventually be turned the wrong will be turned into a right. But I'd say that when it comes down to it, I thought that Fred Taylor it was a shock to see him here. Honestly, I think it'll be a shock to see him next year as well. Shock to see him next year as a semifinalist because you're going to have Peyton Manning on there, you're going to have Charles Woodson on there, you're going to have Jared Allen on there, you're going to see Logan Mankins on there. You're going to see a multitude of players, and I think Taylor, maybe Waters, and God forbid, even Tasker, hopefully not, especially if he makes it as a finalist, which I'm hoping for, would probably be off because a big gain for a lot of these players, like a Taylor or Waters or a Young, is the fact there were no coaches that made it this year, and Polamalu is the only guy that is a slam dunk first ballot, so that also helps. I think that's a big reason as to why. I say it's good though. It's very good, and hopefully this means good things for coaches as making it more because Coryell should be in, Shaughnessy should be in, Johnson should be in, Flores, and Cowher and Holmgren, Reeves. I'm just Schottenheimer. A lot of these names, and it really benefited. And so, in all, I think this is a nice surprise. Taylor, Waters, don't be shocked if you don't hear them next year as semifinalists. And I'd say that's a little bit of everything. And of course, yep, gotta just push for Tasker right there. I'm going to be there for it, and as well as many of their fans. And the Bills doing well this year, so that might actually help them at the end. But then again, Lynch's been a finalist many times, and the Niners might go to the Super Bowl, and he might still not make it and might not make it at all. Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave you with this one thought here. So who is Tiki Barber more jealous of? His brother Rondé or Michael Strahan?
Probably Strahan, because Strahan had the career that Tiki thought he was going to have. Rondé's still his brother, though.
Sure, but and he was always the better one until he retired, and then that's not the case anymore. Rondé's Canton bound, and Tiki may not be.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, especially with the demand getting increasingly larger and larger with the year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I always sort of like envision Tiki sort of like going on, like he's doing the treadmill and he can't watch. What is it, Kelly and Michael? I don't even know. Like what show is he on?
No, he's on Good Morning America.
Oh, Good Morning America. Okay, whatever. If it's not sports highlights, I'm not watching it in the morning. So.
Well, yeah, it's understandable. I don't really watch basic cable morning shows to begin with. I don't watch The View. I don't watch, Today on NBC. I don't watch that stuff. I mean, nothing against those people. It's just that I'm a sports guy.
I hear you.
It's what I do.
I hear you.
And yeah, hopefully it's good for the future. But all in all, that was my 15. I thought that it's a very good semi-finalist list. Hopefully hopefully I'm right with at least most of them. And of course, there's one I want more than the others. But of course, we'll just see what happens and let fate play itself out. And inevitably, whatever happens, there's going to be people upset, just like Cornelius Bennett was actually really salty. He was actually retweeting people saying how it's baffling that Bennett's not in, and he was just retweeting a lot of people that had sour grapes over the fact he didn't make it as a semifinalist.
Well, it means more things means different things to different people, obviously. So, and Cornelius has a bit of a gripe. I can see it.
No, but it could be worse. Look on the bright side, Bennett. At least you're not Reuben Brown.
That's true.
Yeah, Reuben Brown. I mean, at least you made us in the preliminary list. Reuben Brown didn't even do that.
Oh my god.
Which he should. Which was baffling, but he should. The most forgotten 9-time Pro Bowl player ever.
He's so forgotten he didn't even make a Jeopardy question.
He could make it a Jeopardy question.
They forgot. They forgot to do it.
Yeah, they did. Kent Hull was on there instead of him, and Kent Hull was a but at the same time, Kent Hull didn't have 9 Pro Bowls, and also, if I recall, Reuben Brown has more All-Pros than Kent Hull. It's just that Reuben Brown played in an era in which it was the late 90s Bills and early 2000s Bills where they did not make the Super Bowl and thus not many people really cared. But luckily, Tasker did, and that's probably a big reason why he's even on here. And it's good, too, that, Tasker is here. I'm very, very fortunate about that. And, let's see where it takes him. And I'd say maybe the good record helps. Probably not. Maybe Fred Taylor made it because of Minshew Mania.
You never underestimate the power of a Fu Manchu.
Oh, yeah, that mustache, man. Oh my God, that mustache is phenomenal. That mustache, you can never stop. Listen, he really is. He really is Uncle Rico. He looks like a kid. I mean, look at him. He's the same hairstyle, same mustache, same arm mechanic. I mean, he come on. He really is Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Love it. All right, so we'll be doing the.
And Nick Foles is Napoleon Dynamite.
Nick Foles right now wishes he's Napoleon. Well, actually, Nick Foles looks at his bank account. He's not too worried.
Yeah. And also, he's happy about his bank account, and he's probably going to be cut out the deer. But hey, at least you got a Super Bowl title.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
Not only that, there's those Eagles fans that say, "Oh, Foles is better than both Cunningham and McNabb."
You know what, though? I mean, you're never going to be able to out-argue. Well, you can out-argue, but when they're just sort of like pointing at a Super Bowl ring, it's it's like Plunkett disease. It's you're missing the big picture.
Plunkett disease. Yeah. Dr. Buckner diagnoses Raider fan with Plunkett disease.
Oh boy, love it. I love it.
Yeah, that actually good. We should have something called Plunkett disease. It means when you focus way too much on Super Bowl titles that it clouds your vision.
Ooh.
Yeah, we should really have that. Make an article. We should make an article about Plunkett disease.
Absolutely.
we should
Plunketitis?
What?
Plunketitis?
Plunkett disease sounds better.
Does it? Okay. Well, I mean, Lou Gehrig had his own disease, and at least he died from it.
Well, Plunkett disease is Plunkett. It's like the Mendoza line. There's Plunkett disease.
Plunkett myopia.
Yeah. It's a good term. That should be a real thing. Plunkett disease.
That's why I drink.
Yeah. I'm not old enough to do that yet, but not when people aren't looking.
Nice. All right, we'll be doing this again in 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah, might even be sooner because they're probably going to be listing the people that made it as in the blue ribbon panel, and hopefully we see Slater, hopefully we see Dillwig, hopefully we see Wister, and for the love of God, add Don Coryell. And if you really, really want to tug at my heartstrings, Carol Rosenblum, please. Carol Rosenblum.
Could happen. All 5 could happen.
If not, I'd be fine with Art McNally because, after all, reps should be in. There are, other than Hugh Shorty Ray, no reps in. And considering that reps are essentially the face of the NFL at this point, Art McNally changed the game. So, yeah, why not? Every other Hall of Fame does it, so why not the NFL?
Why not? All right, Vinny, it's been good.
Thanks, Kirk. I appreciate it so much for having me on with you again. Thank you again for the thank you again for the letter of recommendation, and I will definitely use that when I send out my resume. Thank you so much, Kirk, for everything.
My pleasure.
And again, congratulations for reaching in the top 300,000. Now, that may not seem like a lot. Keep in mind, there's like 2 billion
websites. Yeah.
So, considering the fact that you made this website from a drunken bar argument, very impressive, man. Very impressive. And I guess you have no one to thank but me. all you need is a little bit of me, and poof, your channel grows.
There you go. Love it.
Have a great day, Kirk. I hope you have a blast, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed your first American Thanksgiving.
My first American Thanksgiving in the Caribbean, you mean?
Yes, your first American Thanksgiving in the Caribbean, because Canadian Thanksgiving seems like it's a fable you see in like one of those children's stories. Canadian Thanksgiving, like it just doesn't exist, or maybe it's like a South Park spoof.
Something Canadian like that. It's pretty much the same quality of football in some ways, because we'll always have the Argonauts Ticats game, and I think you've got the Lions, so it's pretty much the same level.
David Blau, man. David Blau, yeah, he was no Clint Longley, but he did play like one in that game. But yeah, it didn't happen. But hey, Lions, Cowboys, and another game.
It was the Saints, and they won.
Yeah, it's true. It's all the way teams won. It was quite a masterpiece, and Thanksgiving's always a big deal for me. And yeah, well, that we said a lot. We're a little rambling, but thank you everyone for turning in, and again, thank you, Kirk, for having me on yet again. Hope we do this for the Blue Ribbon panel, and if
absolutely,
not, definitely for both of them. Why not? I wish you the best of luck, Kirk.
All right, thanks. You too, Vinny. Take care.
Have a nice day, Kirk, and don't forget, don't get Plunkett disease.
I'll try not to.
Take care. Have a great one.
Bye.